This is an overview for corporate law practice. So, in summary, long and short of it all is that it is the it is the body of laws and practice that governs the conduct of commerce, delivery of services, and the carrying on of businesses by companies in the public and private sector. So that's just like the long and short of it. Then there's a major act for this major law that we'll be using in corporate law practice, which is CAMA, Companies and Allied Matters Act of 2020. The act is divided into 7 main parts. It comprises of a total of 870 sections. So we have Part A. Part A covers Section 1 to Section 17, and that one makes provision for the establishment and composition of the CAC and its governing body. That's when it talks about the function of the commission, the tenure of office, the remuneration, the proceedings of its board members against other ancillary matters. Part B covers Section 18 to Section 745. It provides for incorporation of companies and all matters incidental to it, such as the right to form a company, types of companies, single-member companies, association and partnership of more than 20 members when permitted. Talk about the memorandum of association, talk about the articles of association, the registration of companies, the disclosure of persons with significant interest, the minimum issued share capital, the company voluntary arrangement, the administration of companies, the process and effect of such administration, winding up, times and effect of winding up. You'll find all of this in Part B. Part C then covers Section 746 to 794, and it introduces 2 novel business models into the Nigerian corporate law space, which is the limited liability partnership and the foreign limited liability partnership. And then it also provides extensively for their registration and the mode of operation, modus operandi. Then we have Part D. It covers Section 795 to 810. Section 795 to Section 810. And it provides for the limited partnership, registration of the limited partnership, and other incidental matters. Part E covers Section 811 to 822. And it provides for the registration of business names, establishment of business names, registries in each state, removal of name from register, and other incidental matters. Part F covers Section 823 to 870, and this one deals with all matters concerning registration, administration, powers, merger and dissolution of incorporated trustees. Part G, these are just general provisions. They're just general provisions, but just know it covering the establishment of the admin proceedings committee. There are some trailblazing areas of the act, like this recent CAMA of 2020, because that was not the one that was in effect before. That was the one that was in effect. It was in 1990 CAMA before this one came of this 2020. So some new areas, there are some improvements, some good improvements that this CAMA 2020 brought along. For instance, number 1 is the establishment of the CAC in place of the cursory attention given by the Department of Trade in the Ministry of Commerce. Before, we didn't have like its own body, but now we have the body, the CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission. You can find that in section 1. You should find section 1. There's introduction of a single member company and single director for small company. You can find this in section 18 and section 271 respectively. There's the compulsory right of first offer and other restriction in the company's sale of its assets. You can find that in section 22. There's an increase in the minimum issued share capital of a private and public company respectively. You can find that in section 27. Just try to know these trailblazing areas. There's the disclosure of persons in significant control or beneficial ownership of a company. There's the prohibition of non-voting and weighted shares, section 116. It leaves the prohibition of share buyback, section 184. It now recognizes virtual meetings held by private companies, provided that such meetings are held in accordance with the articles of the company. You can find that in section 240. It now specifies for the content of memo, that's the memorandum, and the article of association. You can check section 27, section 30, section 33, and section 34. There's now an elaborate provision on the registration of a private company as public and vice versa. And then there's the reform and enactment of the indoor management rule. There is the act now provides for merger of associations. There is the alternative to wages consent for registration of companies limited by guarantee, merger of incorporated trustees with similar objective. So these are the trailblazing areas. Just know them, even if it's 5 or 6, know them. More than 10, if possible, know them. It's better to err on the side of surplus. So what are the legal and regulatory framework for corporate law practice in Nigeria? We have the principal legislation, the subsidiary legislation. The principal, of course, first one is Constitution of 1999. You have the Federal High Court Act, CAMA 2020, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act, the Foreign Exchange Monetary and Miscellaneous Provision Act, Investment and Securities Act of 2007, Immigration Act, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion Act, Industrial Inspectorate Act, Companies Income Tax Amendment Act, Partnership Law of the various states of the Federation, Stamp Duties Act, Business Facilitation Miscellaneous Provisions Act, Investment and Securities Act, Land Use Act, Central Bank Act, there's a lot. So, but then like that, now that Act, FIRS Establishment Act, Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022, which is the latest, Nigerian Communications Commission Act, Mortgage Institutions Act, Petroleum Profit Tax Act, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act. So the others like that, we have the BOFIA of 2020, that's the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act. Then there's the subsidiary legislation talking about the Federal High Court Civil Procedure Rules, the Investment and Securities Tribunal Rules. This one, they're just talking about rules. Those are the subsidiary legislation. Companies Proceeding Rules, Companies Regulation, Companies Winding Up Rules, Pioneer Status Regulation Rules, Nigerian Stock Exchange Listing Rules, SEC Consolidated Rules. SEC is the Securities Exchange Commission. Consolidated Rules, Insolvency Regulation. So what are the regulatory bodies? So they can ask you that, okay, well, give us the laws regulating corporate law practice in Nigeria and their regulatory bodies. So for instance, now if you mention CAMA 2020, don't write CAMA, write it in full. Companies Analyze Matters Act 2020. That is the law. Then what is now the regulatory body? CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, Section 1. Okay, if you now say, okay, Investment and Securities Act 2007, what is the regulatory body? Don't forget, you say SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. So like that, for a regulatory law, for a law, it's supposed to be a regulatory body, because if you're just enacting these laws, who will regulate it? So that's what it just means by regulatory body. Because you see them, they'll ask you, mention 5 laws or mention the laws regulating corporate law practice in Nigeria and their regulatory body. Don't forget. Then the codes of corporate governance, you see Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance of 2018, the Code of Corporate Governance for Public Companies in Nigeria issued by SEC, the Code of Corporate Governance for Finance Companies in Nigeria, the Code of Good Corporate Governance for the Insurance Industry in Nigeria, the Code of Corporate Governance for License, Pension and Fund. So the regulatory bodies, like I said, if you're talking CAMA, this is the Corporate Affairs Commission. The establishment is the Section 1 of CAMA. What is the composition? 15 members that will be the governing board of the commission. The chairman is appointed by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Then there's the Chief Executive Officer is the Registrar General, and they must have been qualified to practice as a legal practitioner for at least 10 years before their appointment. And 8 out of that 10 years, it should be in cognate company law practice. It should have still it should still have been practicing around corporate law. And then all members of the commission, except the Registrar General and the ex-official members, are part-time members with a tenure of 5 years. So, but members, they can be reappointed for another term of 5 years. What is the function of the CAC? You can find that in section 8. You can find that in section 8. The function can be found in section 8. I have an acronym here, AMICO. So AMICO, A, one of the function A, to administer the act. So A, administer the act. M, maintain a company's registry. Then the I is for investigation where the interest of shareholders, members, partners, or public so demand. C is for compliance. O is for other functions as may be specified by the legislation. So I don't know if you followed. So, but you can just go through it and come up with your own acronym. For me, acronyms also helped me. In fact, I composed some songs, a few songs, but mostly acronym helped me. And then constant practice, constant recalling of what I've read also helped. And of course, God helped to bring everything to remembrance because this is well. Then Securities and Exchange Commission establishment, that's under regulatory body, so it has the function is in section 13 of the Investment and Securities Act. The Investment and Securities Act is the law. That's the law. The function is in section 13. Regulates this one. I don't think I came up with acronym because it's a lot of function. If you check it is a lot. I have about how many functions there? About 25 functions. So, but just so few. Regulate investment and securities business in Nigeria. Register and regulate securities exchanges. Register securities to be offered for sale or subscription to the public. Render assistance in all aspects. Prepare adequate guidelines and organize training programs. Register and regulate corporate and individual capital market operators. Act in the public interest. Promote investors' education, levy fees or other charges for carrying out investment and security businesses in Nigeria. Then we have the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. This was established in 1995. So this one is it allows foreign investors to buy unlimited shares of the quoted companies through the Nigerian Stock Exchange in any convertible currency. The commission is a one-stop agency. So the NIPC Act repealed the Industrial Development Coordination Committee Decree and the Nigerian Enterprises Promotion Decree. So this NIPC now was set up to coordinate, monitor, and facilitate investment promotion activities in Nigeria. So it's a one-stop agency. It has everything. The composition: a chairman, representative of the following federal ministries who must not be below the rank of a DG: Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Planning Commission. Then under composition, it should include the governor of CBN, 6 other persons from the private sector, the secretary of the commission, who also serves as the secretary to the council. What are the functions? You can find this in section 4 of the NIPC Act. Initiation and fostering of measures to enhance the nation's investments climate for all investors. Talk about the promotion of investments within and outside Nigeria, collection and dissemination of information concerning, just talking about investment. So just look for your acronym and flow with it. But once you just hear Nigerian investment promotion, know that it's talking about investment. So the establishment of the one-stop investment center, this one it was established in 2004, and the aim is that when investors will come, they will not need to be moving from place to place. They will just go to this center. So it's a center, everything will just be done there. So the scope, while establishing the center, the scope of operation is to facilitate the business incorporation, like I have said. It will facilitate everything, the registration, the authorization. It will lead to instant granting of approvals in principle, permit and licenses. It will lead to provision of investment information. It will lead to substantial reduction of the cost of doing business in Nigeria. It will ensure easy tracking of foreign direct investments for foreign portfolio investments in Nigeria. Foreign direct investment is when they come themselves, when the company wants to be here. But for portfolio, you're investing maybe in shares. Then it simplifies procedural steps. Everything I've said, that's what is here. It's just to make it easy. What are the participating agencies of this one-stop investment center? the NIPC, of course, the CAC, that's Corporate Affairs Commission, Nigerian Immigration Service, Nigeria Customs Service, Federal Inland Revenue Service, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Central Bank of Nigeria, Bureau of Statistics, Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals, Federal Ministry of Finance, Standard Organization of Nigeria. So under regulatory body is the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion. Function you find in Section 4 Sub D and Section 6 Sub 1 of NOTAP Act, the Act. The functions, about 3 here. I have the acronym I used, though, my own was RCM. R for register contracts that are registrable under the Act. C for issuing certificate of registration. M for monitor continuously the execution of contracts and agreements so registered under it. Then we have the Central Bank of Nigeria. The function is stipulated in Section 2 CBN Act. Ensure monetary and price stability, issue legal tender currency in Nigeria, maintain external reserves to safeguard the international value of the legal tendency currency, promote sound financial system in Nigeria. Then we have the Standard Organization of Nigeria as another regulatory body. Section 5 sub 1 of the Standard Organization Act of 2015 provides for the function compile an inventory of products in Nigeria requiring standardization, compile Nigeria industrial standard specification, register and regulate standards, marks and certification that take registration of all manufactured products, administer and enforce the provision of this act, organize tests and do everything necessary to ensure compliance with standard designated and approved by the council. So let me quickly say something here. That one I mentioned, that administer and enforce the provision of this act. In any question you'll be asked, before you make sure you'd have already listed like 5 before you add administer and enforce the provisions of this act. Do you understand? I don't know if I'm trying to say that is common knowledge that they have to administer the act, right? So if you're adding it, it's as if you are trying to play smart. Because I can't remember who even said it, which of our lecturers that brought it to our attention that we already know. So before you say it, make sure that you've listed about 5 before you will now add that one as extra. Don't make it your number 1. Don't make it as part of the main list. So, because everybody knows that they are supposed to administer and enforce the provision of the act. So that's what I'm trying to say. So now we have accreditation of professionals for corporate law practice in Nigeria. You cannot just say you want to be an agent or you want to be a professional to do accreditation for CAC. You can't. You have to be accredited. So for CAC, it's only 3 categories of professionals that can do accreditation with the commission. That can go to them and say, oh, this, that. It has to be either you're a legal practitioner, you're a chartered accountant, or you're a chartered secretary. So the procedure for legal practitioner with the CAC is as follows. You visit, now take notes of all these steps and requirements. You visit the CAC website, www.cac.gov.ng. You download and fill the application for accreditation form, CAC MIC 01. You scan and submit the following accompanying documents by email to CAC: 2 passport photograph, photocopy of CTB certificate, NYC discharge or exemption certificates in lieu, practicing fee receipts for the year of application, evidence of payment of the prescribed accreditation fee for individuals or firms. Then you make payment of the prescribed fees via remitter. Then if the CAC is satisfied, an ID card will be issued to the applicant bearing his or her name and the accreditation number. So for SEC, that's to be accredited with Securities and Exchange Commission, you have to be a legal practitioner. And it will be that you want to function as a capital market solicitor. So for you to be eligible, you must have been 5 years post-call. For me now, I can't say I want to be accredited with SEC just yet because I'm not 5 years post-call. I don't have that experience yet. Then you must have a traceable office address. Then you must demonstrate knowledge of capital market operations. What are the documents to be submitted to see SEC for accreditation. So duly completed sec form, CTC of that's certified true copy of business team certificate, CV and profile of partners, copy of partnership deed, evidence of minimum net worth, sworn oath confirming records, professional indemnity insurance policy, evidence of payment of practicing fees, current audited accounts, police clearance certificate, and valid means of ID. So that's that for SEC and CAC. Then I think before, is it towards the end of the course, to look at insolvency practitioners, they also have the accreditation. So I don't want to bombard you with a lot of information about that now, but it will still come up. I think towards the end of the course, of the whole course syllabus. So that'll be all for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to share with your friends in other campuses and subscribe for more. Subscribe and turn on notification bell so that you get notified anytime I post any new video. Our next topic will be, choice of business organization. The choice of business organization. So as I said, you should turn on your notification bell so that you would be notified when I post. So choice of business and non-business organization. We'll look at that in our next class. Take care.